Hello guys, it's WhatHow100. Today I'm bringing you a new type of video, that being a movie review. Yesterday I went to go watch A Quiet Place Day 1 with a few friends in the theater, and I just had to bring you guys a review. As a fan of the first two Quiet Place films, I was definitely excited for this film, but unfortunately this film left me disappointed. So let's start off with the plot and we'll talk about some other complaints. The movie centers around two main characters, those being Samira, a cancer patient, her cat, and, of course, Eddie from Stranger Things, also known as Eric in this film, who is a law student in New York. Samira, like I said, is a cancer patient, and the film begins with her doctor, her physical therapist, and a couple of other patients going to a ventriloquist show. Samira wants to get a slice of pizza. That's something apparent throughout the film. I suppose it's because she's been so cooked up in this hospital, and the only reason she goes to this show in the beginning of the film is because her physical therapist promises her, or her nurse, I guess, promises her a slice of pizza after. Unfortunately, after the ventriloquist show, the outbreak happens, and the street that she's on gets bombed. Upon waking up, after being unconscious from the bombs, she is in a theater full of other survivors where she finds out that you have to be quiet in order to survive these monsters. Unfortunately, her physical therapist dies after being killed after trying to fix a broken generator that was making some noise. Upon discovering that there's nothing really else left to live for and that she can't get her medicine for her cancer, she decides to go with her cat to go and find the slice of pizza that she was promised. On her way to this pizza, she comes across Eric, a law student who, like her, doesn't really have much to live for anymore, as he has no idea what has happened, and his parents are in England. At first, Samira pushes him away, but Eric gives her hope and actually encourages her to, instead of going just for pizza, to help him get to the other side of the New York island in order to escape on the refugee boats. Samira and Eric then go on a journey that is pretty short because this film is only an hour and a half long, which is a major flaw. But they go on this journey to the other side of New York. Samira gets her pizza, and at the end, once they reach the end of New York, they realize the last refugee boat is leaving. Samira, realizing she really has not a lot left to live for, sacrifices herself by making some noise in order for Eric and her cat to escape and make it to the last refugee boat. The movie ends with Samira playing some music and finally accepting her fate. What I didn't like about this film was the characters, the length, and the lack of development. Like I said, this movie is only an hour and a half long, and that just doesn't give enough time to flesh out these characters, make us really feel for them or care for them. Like, for instance, her nurse is in the film probably 10 minutes, so his death doesn't really mean much to us because it's so soon on and there's really nothing based off of him. Samira herself is also a pretty unlikable character throughout the whole film, and it's really never explained what her condition is or anything about the characters' backstories. Samira mentions her father briefly, and we find out that she was a poet, but these things are scattered very little through the film, and there are probably only 2 or 3 instances where they bring up anything about the character's past. I think that is because of the small length time of the film. If this movie was an extra hour, for example 2 hours and a half, they could have built so much more upon these characters, and her sacrifice at the end would have been much more impactful than the kind of like what she really did that it really felt like at the end of the film. I understand that Samira had cancer, and there's probably no way of curing it because of the lack of all the medical services now, but I still feel like she didn't have to sacrifice herself at the end. Eric himself is a likable character, but unfortunately, there is no room to flesh him out. In the original Quiet Place films, they talked and they used sign language, and you liked these characters. Specifically, even through flashbacks, they showed these characters' lives. There's none of that in this film. These characters are too scared to even whisper most of the time, which I find ridiculous, because in the first 2 films, they only didn't talk because one of the children was deaf, so they had to use sign language. At the end, I think this film is just it's a bit of a disappointment to Quiet Place fans. I don't know how it's rated 87%. It's nowhere near this. I'm telling you, even with an extra 30 minutes of time, just some more time to make some more interesting characters and some more interesting stakes, it would have made this film much better. Although, I still don't think it's a bad watch, and I would still recommend watching it. At the end of the day, I'm going to give this film a 7 out of 10, and I really did hope it was better, but I do look forward to seeing what other Quiet Place movies are made. Thank you all so much for watching, and let me know if I should make some more movie reviews, or just stick to LEGO community content. See ya.
One last thing I wanted to add, guys, is that this cat, Samira's cat, throughout the whole film, is literally just perfect. It never runs away. It never gets scared of the water, because there's a whole scene where this cat is literally drowning under the water, and it's just completely fine. It never meows to make noise. It never scratches anyone. It's just a perfect cat. And that was also something really annoying, especially as someone who knows cats and has a cat, that her cat was just perfect the whole time, because that's super unrealistic. But anyways, guys, that was the only other issue with this film.